Yes, welcome to the next session of rehabilitation and retrofitting of structures course. In the last session, we were discussing module number 2, that is damage assessment. Okay, in this module number 2, we have been discussed or we have been learned the two concepts, that is purpose of damage assessment or what is the necessity of damage assessment of concrete structure. Why we need to go ahead with a damage assessment? Okay, so the purpose have been showcased with the three things. Okay, that is A, B and C. Okay, how to classify this have been discussed. And the next thing is we have been learned is rapid structural safety assessment. Okay, I have been told a very important point. Okay, in the rapid structural safety assessment, okay, I need to postage the signboard unsafe immediately. Why? Why I need to go for a rapid assessment immediately, or why you need to take a immediate conclusion step? Because, okay, when I'm going to inspect the building, some portion of a building as have been discussed will be not safe to occupy. So those particular space or area I need to isolate them by posting the sign which is unsafe to occupy. Unsafe to occupy. So hence, and also if there is any, I have been classified structural and non-structural components, all those things have been discussed. So that is regarding rapid. That means I need to come to the conclusion, okay, very fast in order to showcase the signpost of unsafe for occupancy. Is it clear? So that is the one step, or I can say one method of assessment or one technique of assessment, that is rapid structural safety assessment. So coming to the today's discussion, that is investigation of damage. That is, what exactly is the actual procedure you are going to follow for the investigation of damage. So there you have been come to the conclusion, or we need to come to the conclusion, okay, immediately for a safety of public, okay, and a property or public property I can say. But here I need to go ahead with a step-by-step assessment. That means if there is no need of a rapid structural safety assessment, or if there is no need of rapid assessment or damage assessment, then I will go with the as usual procedure or investigation procedure. What is that as usual procedure or investigation of damage assessment procedure? Let us discuss one by one. So coming to the procedure, the general procedure for investigation of damage can be briefly summarized as given below. Number 1, visual observation. So this is a very, very important point as an engineer, as a technocrat. Why? Because when you're going to visit the building, for inspection, I need to do the walkthrough survey. That means I need to observe, visually the entire building. What are all the damages that has been happened? Physically I need to observe. Okay, but in the case of rapid, what I did? But in the case of rapid, I need to observe and I need to immediately come to the conclusion. But in this case, I cannot do like that, or we cannot do like that, or not necessity to do like that. Okay, what we are going to do here, physically, okay, observe the entire building. What has happened to the building, or what is the damages, okay, that has been happened to the building. So that is what the visual observation in the entire building. Okay. Next, okay, that is the next first step we are going to do. Next is documentation of damage. Documentation of damage means once you are going to physically inspect the damage in the building or any concrete structure, okay, in that particular I need to record certain things. That means, okay, if I am going to, for example, if I am going to observe any damage in the beam or in the column or in the slab or in the wall, okay, I need to document, okay, that in this particular floor, okay, this particular column number, okay, or this particular beam or this particular slab or this particular wall, okay, so and so damages that has been happened or may happen. Okay, I need to document that. So that is a very, very important I need to do. That is what documentation of damage. So whatever the things you are going to physically observe while doing the damage assessment, okay, you need to document the damage. Okay, so in this particular documentation, your module number 1 and module number 3 plays a role. What is that role? You people have been learned the various phenomenon, or I can say physical and chemical causes. Physical and chemical causes for deterioration of concrete structure. That means, or I can say, what are all the physical and chemical phenomenon, okay, that are creating a damage in the concrete structure. So once if you are going to come to the conclusion, for example, in any structural component, if complete reinforcement has came out, that means the spalling of concrete has happened, you need to note down that. Okay, so and so beam or so and so column, okay, number, okay, the spalling of concrete has been happened. Okay, that is the first thing. And the next thing what you are going to do, and the next thing is whether in the beam or in the column, okay, what is the extent of damage that has been happened? Extent means you are going to physically see whether the corrosion has been happened to the reinforcement, because I have been told in the corrosion, once the reinforcement has been exposed to the external environment, okay, once the reinforce has been exposed to the external environment, that reinforcement, okay, that has been occurred with the corrosion, that will start initiating to the entire reinforcement bar. So hence, I need to physically observe that, I need to document that what is the extent of corrosion that has been happened. And the next thing I have been told regarding a cover. Regarding the cover. What is the cover that has been given? What is the reinforcement diameter they have been given? What is the bar diameter they are being given? What is the number? That means you cannot see, okay, but if there is any damage, that means if it is exposed or if the spalling of concrete has been happened, you can see. Otherwise, you cannot see or identify the number of bars or that is another technique of which I am going to do in the next step. Okay. So physically, if any damages, that means if there is any corrosion or spalling of concrete, or if there is any honeycombing, or if there is any shrinkage cracks, if there is any acid attack problem, or if there is any chemical attack problem, okay, if all these phenomenon are physical causes or chemical causes which have been discussed in module number 1 and module number 3, okay, if you are going to come to the conclusion immediately, then you can document that particular thing. That so and so, okay, in the floor, okay, the particular beam or in the column, okay, this particular cause, or I can say the crack that has been happened, you can document. That means I can come to the immediate conclusion because I exactly know what has happened to that particular structural component or non-structural components. Is it clear? But sometimes what you are going to do is, sometimes we cannot come to the conclusion immediately. So what I am going to do for that, I will take a photograph. After taking that photograph and after documenting that photograph, I will come to the office and I will do the interpretation, all those things. Is it clear? So there is a quite difference between documentation. Okay, so like that we need to record or document the damage. Is it clear? Next, the point number 3 in the investigation of damage is measurement of geometrical parameters such as deflections and deformation. This is very, very, very important. Okay, because when you are going to inspect the building for damage assessment, you need to act also as a structural engineer. That is a very important thing. Usually, structural engineers, we does all these things because in the first class itself, that means in the module number 2, when the class has been started, I have been told. So once you are going for a damage assessment, you must thoroughly know regarding the structural components. Without knowing the structural components, you cannot assess the damage. Okay, because In the beam, the damage may be different. In the column, the damage may be different. Okay, in the slab, the damage may be different. If you want to come to the conclusion, or if you want to diagnose that particular damage, you need to be very thorough with those structural components. Is it clear? Okay, so that's what measurement of geometrical parameters. Sorry, it is off. Measurement of geometrical parameters such as deflection and deformation. See, once you are going for a structural auditing or stability check, or for a damage assessment, if you are going for inspection, we need to record, okay, that is what documentation, we need to record the dimensional parameters of the structural components. That means, what is the width of the column, what is the depth of the column, what is the width of the beam, what is the depth of the, because why I need to record, sir? It will be there in the plan, no sir. Why I need to record it? No, you need to do, because whatever the plan the client will be given, it may be true or it may be not be true. You need to confirm whether the given information is right or wrong. That is also very important, because in the damage assessment, many information we need to gather from the client also. That is, I will explain that concept. Okay, many information we need to gather from the client also while doing the inspection. Okay, because what is the story that has been sanctioned, how much floor you have been constructed. Physically you are going to observe, but information you need to gather from client also. And what is the purpose this building is going to serve in future, or what is the purpose of this building has been constructed, okay, or why, okay, how the service life of this building has been done. Okay, all these information you need to gather from a client. Okay, while documentation or while physically observation, you need to discuss a lot of things with the client or the owner of a building. Okay, a lot of questions will pose to you, okay, while inspecting a building, okay, because it will be give and take policy. That means if that client will say something, okay, we need to gather that information also. Physical observation is one thing, and collecting the information from the client also is very, very important. Okay, so what is the grade they have been provided, all those things they will mention in the plan. But also we need to confirm with the client, what is the grade, what is the steel they have been used, how many number of floors we have been planned, okay, how many number of floors they have been, okay, this information you need to gather from the client. Is it clear? Okay, whether they have been conducted the soil testing, okay, what is the test report, okay, we need to collect the test reports also. Okay, I will tell you that, okay, material testing reports we need, okay. So, in that we need to measure the geometrical parameter, that is the dimension of a column, dimension of a beam, dimension of a slab, okay, and whatever the dimension you have been recorded, from the structural components, okay, should match with the actual plan, given by a client. Anyway, we will give the sanction plan, okay, that sanction plan dimension should match with the assessment you have been done. Okay, while the damage assessment you are going to do, while the assessment you are going to record the dimensional parameters. Okay, that is one thing. And one more thing is the deflection and deformation. Okay, what is the deformation or deflection that has been happened in the beam? Mainly in the case of a beam. Because, as I stated, the beam will be subjected to flexure, or I can say bending. Okay, when the beam is subjected to flexure or bending, okay, obviously the beam will undergo deflection. Okay, if the beam undergoes deflection, okay, once if it crosses the permissible limit, okay, it will show its performance, or I can say the defects in terms of cracks. That is what your limit state of serviceability says. What your limit state of serviceability says? The limit state of serviceability says that you are allowing the structural component to get cracked. You are allowing the structural component to crack or deflect within the permissible limit. That is what the warning that the structural component is going to give. Okay, at that extent you need to be very cautious, okay, to take the next step. Is it clear? Okay. So now, measure the deflection or deformation. Okay, whatever the deflection or deformation you have been measured, whatever the deflection or deformation you have been measured in that particular beam, okay, whether that measured deflection is within the permissible limit or not. So that you need to document that. Okay. So that is what the step number 3, that is measurement of geometrical parameters. Okay, and deflection deformations. So that is, you are going to measure the beam deflection, slab deflection, okay, and also if there is any eccentricity in the column. As we know, okay, as we discussed in the last session, that the column should carry the load through the centroidal axis. If the column carries the load eccentric, then the tensional stresses developed will be varied. So that I need to show, okay, note down whether there is any eccentricity in the column. For example, when you are going to look at the building from floor to floor, you just observe whatever the column that is running from the ground floor, okay, whether it is to the plumb line in the upper floors also. Majority of the cases, the ground floor column will be not to the plumb line in the first floor. There will be slight eccentricity. If that is the case, then the load carrying capacity will be varied. So all these things you need to record. That is what? Deformation and deflections. Is it clear? Eccentricity of column, deflection of slab, deflection of beam, how much it has been deflected. All those things you need to measure and record it. That is what the step number 3. Next, step number 4, experimentation for evaluating the material properties and behavior. So this is the very important point in which you are going to do, okay, or which we are going to discuss in the next session. That is called assessment instruments we are going to use. Assessment instruments or techniques we are going to use in order to confirm further, okay, whether the building is safe or not. What is that? See here, evaluating the material properties, they have been highlighted. Material properties means, for example, concrete and the steel. Okay, you are going to assess the strength of a concrete, the strength of a steel, okay, whether it is safe enough to carry the loads. Okay, that is what the experimentation. For this experimentation, okay, we are going to do the 3 assessment, that is called destructive, semi-destructive, non-destructive. That we are going to discuss in the next session. Okay, so the 3 assessment techniques we are going to do for the existing reinforced concrete structure, okay, or structural components. Okay, why? Because we need to go ahead. For example, I have been told, okay, the corrosion that has been happened in the column or maybe in the beam or a slab. We need to take out that particular chunk of a concrete or a portion of a concrete, and we need to go ahead for a corrosion analysis. Whether it is safe enough to, okay, or we can, whether the concrete element or a structural component is safe enough to carry the load, or can we prevent this particular problem. Okay, so that is what experimentation for evaluating the material properties. Okay, it may be concrete, steel. And one more thing I want to highlight here, and cement, fine aggregate, coarse aggregate, concrete assessment, all those things you have been done while constructing. That is different assessment. Please understand this concept. That is different assessment and this is different assessment. This assessment is you are going to perform for an existing concrete structural element. In order to understand the behavior. That's why I have been highlighted. The concrete and the steel, only these 2 materials you can assess for an existing concrete structural element. Coming to the construction procedure or construction of a concrete structure or a building or a bridges, while doing that, you are going to do the different evaluation of material properties. For example, when you're going for any reinforced concrete structural construction, you are going to evaluate the cement, you are going to evaluate, that means you are going to test the cement, you are going to test the fine aggregate, you are going to test the coarse aggregate, okay, you are going to test the reinforcement, you are going to test the concrete. That is different. That is different. That assessment you are going to do while constructing the building. Okay, so that you are going to check whether it is what I can say, suitable for construction or not. Suitable for construction or not. Okay, whether that particular material will possess the higher standards or not. So that is different assessment. Okay, the material property and behavior assessment, okay, assessment while doing the damage assessment for concrete structure is different. Okay, in that particular instance, okay, you are going to do the assessment of concrete and steel only. You are not going to do any steel assessment, okay. That's what I have been told, that is client interaction. While documentation of damage, while assessing, you are going to check the reports also. You are going to ask the client, okay, please give me the report of cement test, fine aggregate test, coarse aggregate test, okay, a cube test, all those things. You are going to ask, okay, and whether he may give the actual results or it may give a false result, that is secondary. But he will give the results, what is the testing results. Okay, that is also you can confirm, that I will discuss in the next session. Okay, so that is what experimentation you are going to do. Next, interpretation and analysis of test results. So, whatever the thing you have been documented in the 4 steps, okay, that you are going to come to the office, okay, that means whatever the damage you have been documented, the photo you have been took, okay, the information you have been gathered, okay, whatever the information you have been collected, okay, all those things you are going to, okay, make a comparison, that means consolidate file, okay, and you are going to start assessing one by one. Okay, that means interpretation of document collected or gathered. Okay, and analysis of test results. That means whatever the results have been tested. That means if they are going to conduct any test on the particular concrete element, non-destructive testing or semi-destructive testing or whatever the destructive testing results I am going to get. I am going to correlate that. I am going to correlate that. Okay, or interpret that. Okay, I am going to analyze the results, whether this particular material or concrete element or reinforced concrete structures is safe or not. That is what interpretation and analysis of test results. So, whatever the documentation have been done, so that documentation done, okay, will be interpreted with a proper analysis of a test results that has been carried in this particular 4 steps. Is it clear? Next. Analysis of a building is its damage state, taking into account the test results obtained during investigation. So that is what the point I have been highlighted. Okay, so whatever the test results that has been obtained, okay, that test results will be correlated. Whatever the test results that have been obtained, that is, for example, material properties test results. Okay, or I can say the concrete test results. Okay, for example, while doing the construction of slab or a beam or a column, okay, actual practice you are going to perform the compressive strength on a cubes or I can say concrete. So you are going to assess the compressive strength of concrete, you are going to cast the cube, okay, for that particular cube you are going to subject to the compressive force and you are going to record the compressive stress or strength I can say. Okay, that particular compressive strength, okay, that particular compressive strength, that is the test results, and the test results, okay, you are going to obtain while doing the damage, assessment of damage. Okay, while doing the investigation or inspection, you are going to use a different technique. Without any damaging the structural component, you are going to assess the compressive strength of a concrete. You are going to assess the compressive strength of a concrete. Okay, so those results you are going to correlate. Okay, destructed compressive strength during construction and non-destructed compressive strength of concrete while doing a damage assessment. Both the things I am going to correlate. Whether the client has given the true information or false information at this particular instance, I will come to know. So this I am going to teach you in the next session. That is how to go with the destructive techniques, how to go with the semi-destructive technique, how to go with the non-destructive, all those assessment techniques I am going to. So generalized way I have been explained. Okay, that is what analysis of building its damage stage, taking into account the test results obtained during investigation. Is it clear? So while investigation, whatever the test results they have been obtained, so that will be correlated with the actual results. So that is what the step number 6. Next, formulation of repair measures. Okay, so now this is what I can say conclusion part. The 7th step is a conclusion step. So now you have been documented, you came to the office, you have been analyzed, you have been interpreted, you have come to the conclusion that this is the so-and-so damage that has been happened, and this is the step we need to take in order to overcome that particular damage, or in order to prevent that particular crack, or in order to prevent that particular structural component from collapse. Okay, in order to take that particular step, that is what formulation of repair, retrofitting measures, what is the type of retrofitting, what is the type of repair, so that I need to go ahead. So this particular step number 7, I am going to discuss in module number 4 and 5. In the module number 4, you are going to do with retrofitting techniques. Okay, what is the retrofitting techniques here? Because I have been explaining in the first class itself, the medicine, okay, whatever the medicine I am going to suggest may not be suitable for all the diseases. I need to suggest a proper medicine, okay, for that particular disease. Okay, the medicine will be suitable for that particular disease only. So like that, in that various types of retrofitting techniques, I need to suggest the proper retrofitting, proper repair techniques. Is it clear? Okay, for example, if a spalling is too much, okay, a chunk of concrete has been fallen too much from the slab. Okay, I cannot go with something like retrofitting techniques or something. I need to go with something different, repair technique. Okay, for example, if the deflection and deformation is too much, the slab, the beam and slab is completely deformed, I cannot go with a repair technique. I need to go with some retrofitting techniques. So like that, depending upon the problem, you need to suggest a proper measure. That is what I've been explained in the first class itself. So we are like a doctor. So the doctor should give a proper medicine, okay, after diagnosing the disease. So these are all the disease, okay, diagnosing have been done. After diagnosing this much, I need to suggest a proper medicine. Is it clear? Okay. Next is a post-repair evaluation. That is what the next step. That is a repair evaluation. That means there is a very important step. After suggesting a repair or retrofitting techniques, how it will function, that is also very, very important. Because this is a very important step. I want to highlight one particular point here. See, when you are going to suggest any repair or retrofitting material in order to overcome that particular, what I can say, the damage in the concrete structure, okay, we need to do lot of experimentation in our lab with those techniques. For example, now COVID-19. For example, in the COVID-19, okay, simply I cannot put a medicine to the human beings, or I can say for this. First, I need to do the lot of trial and errors. Okay, after doing a lot of trial and errors, okay, then only I can suggest that medicine is suitable for COVID-19. So same here also, I need to do the lot of evaluation. So whether the suggested repair technique or retrofitting techniques holds good in that particular damage assessment or not. So that is the step I need to take. So this is the procedure I am going to adopt for the damage assessment of a reinforced concrete structures. It may be bridges, or it may be building, or it may be dam, anything. So this is the generalized step I am going to follow, or a procedure I am going to follow. Observation, documentation, measurement of geometrical, experimentation, interpretation, analysis, formulation and evaluation. So this is the step. Okay. This is regarding your the investigation of damage. So with continuation with this, let me go with whatever the things have been explained here. The same thing have been explained further. That is what? Damage assessment procedure. The first key step for investigation is to make a diagnosis of the defect or the failure of a building. So that is what the various thing. The important step I have been discussed in the visual inspection. So there have been told what is visual inspection. What are the things you are going to do in the visual inspection? Same thing I have been explained here. That is what the damage assessment procedure. In the visual inspection, any damaged structure as a first step requires an extensive visual inspection followed by documentation of a details. So that's what I have been told. Extensive visual inspection. We need to thoroughly inspect. Because whatever the physical inspection or observation you are going to do, based upon that, you are going to take the next step. If you are going to fail in that initial step itself, it may lead to other problem. So please be, you need to be very cautious regarding this visual observation. Followed by, whatever the things you have, that's what observed, you need to document that. A pursuit of the documentation supported by photo, that's what. You need to take, that's what been highlighted. You need to take a photograph, you need to take instruments, that is photograph, you need to take a torch, you need to, or you can say the flashlight. If there is a, why we need to require a flashlight, or I can say torch, because if there is any dark in that particular space, there you require a flashlight, or I can say you require a photograph. That means you need to carry a camera, you need to carry a pencil, you need to carry a book. You need to carry all those things. And also you need to carry a, what I can say, binocular. You need to carry a, what I can say, the magnifier. So many instruments you need to carry, so that you can these are all the things you need to use. Because I've been told in the I've been told in this particular session that this is something like the murder that has been happened. Whatever the murder that has been happened, how the police inspector or how the CBI investigator is going to investigate the things, the same thing I am going to do here also. The same thing I am going to do here also. Is it clear? So next, study of available documentation. See, here I have been inspected, documented the physical phenomenon, chemical phenomenon, which have been discussed in the module number 1 and 3. And then whatever the observed and documentation, that I am going to confirm, that I am going to study, because some information or whatever the things you are going to see on that damages while doing the damage assessment, you can come to the conclusion immediately. That was I have been told. And sometime you cannot come to the conclusion. You may have a doubt. So you are going to take a photograph and you come to the office, you need to interpret that and you need to come to the conclusion. That is what study of available documentation. So whatever the information you have been gathered here, that I am going to study in the office. That is what study of available documentation will give some idea on the history of construction. Because you will be having a plan, you will be having a construction details, you will be having a inspected details, everything will be having. Client will be giving a details, client will give the floor plan, client will give the test results. Afterwards, you are going to inspect it. All the test results you will be having. So all those test results you are going to study the results or study the documents. That is what available document you are going to study. That is original quality, analysis and design methods with assumption made and the type of materials you are being used. So all this information you are going to collect from the client. And also you are going to do the experimentation. What is the present quality? What is the because the client will say it is a it is a M30 grade concrete. It is a M30 grade concrete. But you need to confirm in the field or while doing the damage assessment whether it is possessing M30 or not. You cannot simply rely on the information of a client. You need to experiment on that particular structural component. You need to come to the conclusion. That is what the thing you are going to do. Okay. So that is what quality analysis and design means. And one more thing you are going to do in this thing here is, which I am going to discuss in the next thing. Okay. That is regarding the structural part. Okay. I am going to explain over there. Next, the assumptions made, the type of metals used. So all these things I need to document. I am going to document because you will be giving a plan. Okay. Apart from the plan, one more thing you will be giving the reinforcement details. What is the reinforcement? They have been accommodated in the column. What is the reinforcement that have been provided in the beam? What is the reinforcement that have been provided in the slab? So this information is very, very, very important. Very important. And the dimensional parameters. What is the column size? What is the beam size? What is the slab size? So all this information you need to collect. Okay, is it clear? Next, a comparison of adjacent building also helps in proper diagnosis. That means if there is any neighbor building, okay, while doing the inspection, you can compare that building also. How exactly that building is there and how exactly the building which you are going to inspect. So those things you can do it. Next, this is one more step. Okay, you need to do being a structural engineer. In this particular step, the structural engineer plays a very, very, very important role. That is estimation of actual loads and environmental effects. Let us see what is that. It is generally found that there is in majority of the cases, the load acting on the structure will be much different from the load assumed in the design calculation. Please notice, I will repeat, please listen. It is generally found that there is in majority of the cases, the load acting on the structure will be much different from the load assumed in the design calculation. That means whatever the information provided by the client, the design reinforcement or design details, then what is the existing design details? For example, I will tell you the story. You have been, designed the building for so and so load. Okay, that means it may carry some certain load of, live load of, I can say 4 kilonewton per meter square or 3 kilonewton per meter square. And all those live load will vary depending upon the type of a building. So this you already know as per IS 875. Okay, because for a residential building the live load is different, for an industrial building the live load is different. Okay, because you cannot consider the loads same for the residential building and also for hospital building or residential building, because the occupancy of a load will be different. Because in the hospital you are going to, the floor load will be acted up by certain instruments, but in the residential will not be same. Okay, in the residential building it will not carry anything like an instrument load or all those things. So it will vary. Okay, the school building will be different, hospital building will be different, residential building will be different. So, first of all, after confirming the type of a building, you need to observe what is the load that have been considered for design. What is the live load? What is the dead load? That is the one thing. Okay, first the type of a building, whether it is a residential building, all those things. Next, what is the dead load? What is the live load? They have been considered. Is it clear? And you need to correlate whatever the live load that have been considered, you need to correlate with the code book, whether they have been considered as per the Bureau of Indian Standards or not, IS 456 and IS 875 or not. Okay, that is the thing. And another thing you need to observe here is, what is the design, okay, they have been provided, they have been considered, they have been decided, that is over. Okay, and next thing is, what is the thing they have been occupied. That means, for example, we have been come across one situation called, in one particular industrial building, they have been designed for one particular live load. But later on, that particular client has changed its plan to accommodate heavy machinery load on the first floor. Heavy machinery load on the first floor. Okay, if that is the case, because in the first floor, I have not been considered the machinery load while doing the design. Okay, but after few years, the client has changed his plans. Okay, why can't I accommodate the machinery load in the first floor also? At that circumstances, this deformation or deflection, okay, is going to happen. So all these things you need to observe. So that is what the things you need to go ahead. Okay, it plays a very, very important role here. Next, cracking or any other damage may sometimes attributed to fact that means the cracking will come, okay, will be attributed to the fact that these loads or certain loads combination were not considered in analysis and design. That's what I have been told. The building, for example, the building in which you have been designed will not be subjected to any wind load. For example, you have constructed a 5-floor building. You have not been subjected to wind load itself. You have not been subjected to earthquake load itself. You have just taken gravity loads, that is dead load and live load. What is the situation of a building? The behavior will be different because the wind load may act, the earthquake load may act, that means the lateral load may act. Okay, the lateral loads you have not been considered while doing the design. That lateral loads, okay, in future may cause damage. But that lateral loads you have not been considered while doing the designing. Okay, so all these things you need to be very cautious. So that's why what we are going to do in the inspecting is, after collecting those design details from the client, we are going to do the remodeling, reanalysis and redesign. Because simply we cannot rely upon the client information or whatever the structural engineer, in which they have been designed that particular building, whatever the design results they have been given, we cannot accept those results. In order to confirm those results is right or wrong, we need to do the reanalysis and redesign of an entire building. Is it clear? So that I can confirm whether the design results is okay or not. Is it clear? Next, effect of temperature changes a hostile atmosphere. That means it is an unfriendly atmosphere. Would impose serviceability and durability problems and also results in undesirable effects in the foundation. That's what? That means the change in temperature, okay, and the durability problem. That means the building may be subjected to what I can say, the enormous temperature. That means I can say freezing and thawing effect, the temperature fluctuation effect. It may be subjected to something like acid attack, chemical attack, so many effects. Okay, if those effects, okay, will be there on the buildings, it will reduce the service life. That means the durability problem will arise. Okay, so those things I need to observe. While doing the damage assessment. So it may disturb the foundation also. Sometimes there is a settlement problem in the foundation. You need to observe all those things. Okay. Next is diagnosis. In any investigation, the diagnosis of the causes or causes of damage is of prime importance and difficult too. That's what. Okay, now here see, you have been done the inspection, documentation, everything. Now, and also have been done this, the load calculation, the design load consideration, everything. But the next step is saying is diagnosis. This diagnosis is very, very important. That is what assessment techniques you are going to use in order to confirm. Okay. See, A proper and reliable diagnosis can be made only by conducting systematic investigation using proven test methods and experienced personnel. That means I need to use a proper assessment techniques. Proper assessment techniques, that is, it may be semi-destructive, non-destructive, all those techniques. So in that also various assessment techniques are there. So in that non-destructive, in that semi-destructive, you need to use a proper, reliable assessment techniques. That is what you are going to do the diagnosis. Why? Why I am saying proper and reliable? Because that particular investigation or diagnosis, okay, will be very, very important in order to come to the conclusion further. In order to come to the conclusion further, that diagnosis plays a very, 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 very important role. Is it clear? So that is what your diagnosis. So that I am going to teach you in the next session. In this particular session, I am going to saying just a procedure. How to go ahead with the damage assessment procedure. That is what I am explaining. How to do the diagnosis, how to do the experimentation, all those things I am going to do in the next session. Is it clear? So whatever I have been explained, step-by-step procedure, the same thing I have been explained with the, what I can say, a flow chart. I have been explained with the flow chart. So first thing is physical inspection. Okay, that is what? Visual inspection. Okay, with the material test obtained. With the material test obtained, are you going to perform? Next, whatever the inspection you are going to do, you need to study the document. That's what I have been told in the step. Next step, study the document, whatever you have been collected that information. Next is estimation of load acting. So this particular step you are going to do a very important step as a structure, because some people will, our client will come to us for stability check or structural, I can say, auditing, whether this building is safe for occupancy or not. In that particular instance, this step plays a very, very important, because that's have been explained. Okay, what is the design load they have been considered, okay, as per the code, and we are going to remodel the analysis, and we are going to conduct the reanalysis, we are going to do the redesign of the entire building, and we are going to compare the design results with the given client results, whether it is correlating. That means whatever the diameter of a bar, number of bars, whether it is matching with this or not. That is what you are going to do. Okay, next, that is what estimation of load acting. What is the live load have been considered? What is the dead load have been considered? Okay, what is the load I am going to consider as per the codes? What is the load they have been considered as per the codes? So those things I need to look into it. Next, estimate of environmental effects. That is, it may be durability wise, it may be lateral load wise. Okay, that means especially it may be majorly it will be durability wise. That means whether it is having a weathering problem, whether it is having a corrosion problem, whether it is having a chemical attack problem, whether it is having an acid attack problem. Okay, those things you need to look into it. That is what environmental effects. Next, diagnosis. Okay, so after collecting this information, okay, physical inspection, okay, then I will come to the office, then I will come to the conclusion that this is the investigation I need to go ahead. This is the investigation I need to perform in order to confirm that particular, okay, whether it is safe or not. So what I am going to do is diagnosis. Okay, I am going to use a proper assessment technique. Okay, proper assessment technique. Okay, in order to assess the damage, in order to assess the deflection or cracking, whatever the means. Next is retrospective analysis. Retrospective analysis is very important. Retrospective analysis means collecting the past information of a building. Collecting the past information. For example, a past information means I need to ask, okay, what is the age of a building? How many years that has been over? That means, for example, some building they will be constructing, but they are not going to occupy for several number of years. It will be a bare concrete structure. It will be a bare concrete structure. There will be no wall sometimes, just a frame structure. Okay, at that particular instance, okay, I need to collect the information from the client. Okay, how many years that has been over, okay, from the construct. That means the age of a building. Okay, and what is the purpose of a building that has been constructed. So all the past information on what is the material you have been used, what is the grade of concrete you have been used, what is the type of steel you have been used. Okay, so all those past history I need to collect and I need to do the analysis. That is called retrospective analysis. Next, whatever these things have been performed, the diagnosis, analysis that have been performed, whether it will be confirmed, that means whether it is saying that it is okay, whatever the things have been performing, that is okay. If it is yes, go with a further step. If it is the diagnosis is not confirmed, that means if it is not come from, or if I missed any step, okay, or if there is any false information, or if I have not done proper assessment, then I need to go with the once again from the step number 1. If the diagnosis is not confirmed, I need to do the redo analysis, complete analysis I need to repeat. If the diagnosis performed or confirmed is yes, then I will go with the assessing of structural adequacy. That is what structural auditing. Okay. So next, in that I am going to consider the load test. Okay, I am going to perform the load test, which I am going to explain in the next session. Okay, so that is we are going to perform, okay, the load test. Next, estimation of future use, that means you are going to assess the building, assess the structural adequacy of a building by subjecting to the loads and also by considering the future use. By considering these two, I am going to assess the structural adequacy. And finally, I am going to confirm the choice of course of action. Choice of course of action. So what is the action I need to take? What is the next step I need to take after doing the entire damage assessment of a building? Entire damage assessment of a building. Is it clear? So I have been told, see here, so this is the step-by-step procedure I have been explained. Okay. And the next thing, this is the detailed explanation of the same steps. And here, the same step I have been explained with the flow chart. Okay. So this is the damage assessment procedure you need to perform. I will just conclude in a very simple manner. Okay. Once if you are going to visit for the damage assessment, the very first thing is visual observation. Okay. In the visual observation, you need to visually observe or physically observe the entire building. You need to collect a lot of information from the client. You need to collect the floor plan, you need to collect the design details, everything. And also you need to do the retrospective analysis. That means you need to collect the past history of a building. So after collecting those information, you need to study the documents. Because you know where you will come across the history of a building. You need to come to the office. Take a photograph sometimes. Okay, you need to come to the office. Study the documents. Okay, you will be taken a photograph. Okay, study that photograph. Whether this particular damage has happened due to this cause only. Study the document. Okay, then, okay, choose the right diagnosis method. Choose the right diagnosis method or assessment technique. Okay, after diagnosing, okay, confirm whether I have been done properly or not. After confirming, then you can go ahead with the choice of that. Choice of course means whether I can need to go with a repair or retrofitting. In that repair, what is the type of repair? Okay, what is the type of retrofitting I need to go? All those things, that is what the choice of course action I need to go ahead. Okay, this is one thing. In that, one particular thing you need to do is structural adequacy, or I can say structural auditing. Structural auditing you are going to perform. Okay, two things you are going to do. One is physically you are observing the damages. Okay, you are going to noting down the shrinkage cracks, all those cracks, everything. You are going to come down and you are going to suggest things. And also you are going to do inspect the building structurally also. That is the design consideration you are going to consider. What is the reinforcement they have been given? What is the size of the, a column, beam or structural components they have been provided? Okay, you need to do the reanalysis, redesign, compare that result or interpret that results, compare with IS 456. These things you need to perform. After doing this, all these things, structural inspection and also this the different damage inspections, then you can come to the conclusion whether to go ahead for a repair or retrofitting or whatever the techniques. In that repair, type of retrofitting, this thing. So this is the procedure you are going to follow while doing the damage assessment. So this damage assessment plays a very, 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 very important role, because a client is very much dependent upon you or your results or your conclusion. Okay, because whatever the conclusion you are going to draw or you are going to give to the client, that depends upon the performance of a building, the economy of the client, all those things. Because that building, if it is a public property, or a public building, you need to take a much responsibility, because it should function better, because so many occupants will be coming and going. Okay, so you need to be very cautious while doing the damage assessment. So that's why this damage assessment plays a very, 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 very important role. So with this, I am going to conclude the today's session. Okay, so in this today's session, we have been learned the damage assessment procedure or investigation of damage. Okay, thank you.